Sairam, para pemirsa media Sai Indonesia yang setia. Saya Prema Mahasagara yang akan menemani Anda di program yang paling ditunggu-tunggu dan paling banyak ditonton, yaitu Mencari Kebahagiaan Sejati. Para pemirsa terkasih, di video kali ini kita akan membahas mengenai topik yang tentunya kita semua dapat merasakannya. Terlebih di situasi seperti sekarang ini, kita sedang dihadapkan dengan pandemi COVID-19. Wabah COVID-19 ini tentu memberikan tantangan dan juga dampak tidak hanya di bidang kesehatan, tetapi sosial, ekonomi, bahkan pendidikan juga menjadi dampak dari COVID-19. Yang tentunya ini akan memicu kita untuk merasakan stres. Oleh karena itu di video kali ini kita akan menyajikan percakapan antara Brother Bishu Prusti dan juga Brother Ame Despande. Brother Bishu Prusti adalah salah satu anggota dari Sri Satya Sai Media Center atau yang sebelumnya dikenal dengan Radio Sai. Sedangkan Brother Ame Despande adalah salah satu anggota dari Sri Satya Sai Center for Human Values. Mereka berdua nanti akan memberikan percakapan bagaimana cara mengatasi atau mengelola stres dengan baik yang tentunya tidak terlepas dari ajaran-ajaran indah dari suami. Baiklah, tanpa menunda, ini dia Mencari Kebahagiaan Sejati.
Offering our loving and prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of beloved Bhagwan. Welcome all of you, dear viewers, to this first satsang from the Sri Satya Sai Media Center. By Bhagwan's grace, joining us today is Brother Ame Deshpande from the Sri Satya Sai Center for Human Values. The 2019 Global Emotions Report released a very interesting statistics. They said that 1 out of every 3 person in the world is going through extreme stress. This is published by Gallup, the American Analytics and Advisory Committee. And when we read this information and when we tried to see what is the stress level in the world, what we found is if you search for the top 10 most stressed countries in the world, you find that this list is a mix of countries which are affluent, which are absolutely developed in the sense that they have a high standard of life. Also, it includes countries which are not so economically progressed. So, it is a mix of countries which are developed as well as countries which are underdeveloped and countries which are developing. So, this is a problem which is there everywhere in the world, and if we come to India, the 2019 Cigna 360 Wellness Survey says that 82% of people in India are undergoing some stress or the other, be it job related stress, be it related to health, related to finances and so on. And what they also found is stress is today one of the top health concerns among teenagers. And if you see in the recent times, our battle for COVID has only made the situation even worse. Everybody is going through some level of stress or the other. Somebody is struggling through severe stress, someone else is grappling through moderate stress. But stress is a pandemic today that all of us are dealing with, and we thought maybe it is a good time to focus on how to deal with this based on what Swami has beautifully explained and given the solutions to us in his numerous discourses, and see how we can make our lives easier and happier.
And what better place to be discussing this from than Prashanti Nilayam, the abode of supreme peace.
Yes, absolutely.
In fact, in the very first Satya Sai Speaks, Volume 1, in one of the most beautiful discourses, Swami says that I have come to alleviate each and every one of you from this moment of stress to a place of serenity and equanimity. And so the one who can bestow upon us the ultimate peace, let us hear and let us discuss what are his tips and how we can enrich our own lives from being a stressful one to being a peaceful one.
So how to move from Ashanti to Prashanti.
That's
and we are so happy to be doing this from, as Brother Amey said, Prashanti Nilayam. So can I begin with a story, Prashant? Amey?
Definitely.
So there is this story of a farmer. Now this farmer was a very simple, contented man. He had a little piece of land, and every morning he would go to the fields and he would do his cultivation, and by the time he would come back, it would be late in the afternoon. So his schedule was wherein he was in tune with nature. Get up very early before dawn and sleep very early. As the sun sets, he's also resting. So dawn till dusk. So early morning when he would get up, he would help his wife. Together they would do the chores of the house, and his wife would prepare a little meal for him which he would take, because he goes very early, so something to eat mid-morning time. And so he would finish his work, and by the time he completed his work in the ground, in the fields, he would come back perhaps 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and he would bring some produce, whatever he has cultivated, and the children would be waiting for the father to come, because he had these 2 children who would have gone to the school. They will come back and together they would have a meal, and he will ask the children, what did you study in the school today, how was the day? And it was a very nice, as they say, the family that eats together and prays together, lives together. It was that kind of a beautiful setting. And after that he would rest for a while, then he would go to the market in the evening, sell his produce, and then whatever he would get, he would share with his wife and children, and night they would again eat together, have a lovely dinner, and then he would tell stories. That would be the time where the children would be waiting for the father, because they were a very devout couple. So he would tell them stories from the scriptures, story of Markandeya, Dhruva, Prahalada, and the children would sleep listening to these beautiful stories, and the father and the mother would be waiting for the dawn to get up again before dawn and start their day. And so every day when he went to the fields, there was a song in his heart, there was this beautiful hum on his lips, and he was a picture of joy. And one day when he was going to the fields, so another person meets him and says, his name was Shambhu, this farmer, says, Shambhu, how are you so happy? I mean, every day you come for work and you are like full of elation. What is the secret? And Shambhu says, well, there's no big secret. I just come, cultivate the field, and whatever I earn, I share it with my family. Actually, my wife and children are my inspiration, because whatever I get, my children and my wife, they are very happy. They are happy, so I am happy. So what is the reason to have any worry or anxiety? So I'm always happy. And the man said, yeah, this is very interesting, but so you're all the time happy? He said, yeah, I'm happy. And it continued like that for many days, until one day when Shambhu woke up and he found at the footstep of his house a bag. And it looked very interesting, so he went closer and he saw the bag, and as he peeped, he saw that it was gold. So he got the bag inside, and the whole family now excitedly wanted to see the bag, and they, to their amazement, they see that it is gold coins, and the children and the wife, they together, they want to count the gold coins, and as they count, they find that it is 50, 60, 70, 80, they're so excited, 80 gold coin, 90 gold coins, and as they count, they find that there are more than 95 gold coins. As they count, it is 99 gold coins, and the children are waiting, probably it will be 100, but it just stops there, it is not 100. And everybody's like disappointed, like it's just 99. And they think, the wife says, no, 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 it must be 100. Just check the bag, check the front yard, the person who left this, it's God's grace that he has given us, but definitely, he would have given us one more. So they all check and it is not there. One more is not there. And the wife says, you know what, we should have that one extra, that one gold coin is missing. Once we have that, we will be as good as that merchant on the high street. They say he has 100 gold coins, we also have 100 gold coins. And Shambhu says, yes, I have to get this. I have to earn this one more gold coin. And so that day he wakes up early, he goes to the fields, he finishes his work, and he goes 2 kilometers away to a factory to see if he can get an additional job there. He gets the late evening job there, and from that day, he's in a hurry because he finishes the work in the fields, sells the produce, comes back, freshens up, goes to the factory, and it was after that just hurry, worry, curry, as Swami says. And the person who used to always admire looking at Shambhu and say that, Shambhu, wow, you are a picture of peace. Now he says, Shambhu, what happened? That song in the heart is no more there, that smile in the lips is no more there. And Ame, what has actually happened is the smiling Shambhu has become now a stressed Shambhu, and he has become a member of what they call the 99 Club, isn't it?
Doesn't it all sound too familiar?
Absolutely.
Sounds a bit like all our lives.
Yes.
When that Shambhu is being described over here. So let's try and analyze this beautiful story. So in the beginning you have a Shambhu who is absolutely content with whatever he has, and then comes the real turning point in his life towards, sorry to say, but the sad part of his life, which is a bag of 99 coins. And a person who thought that everything was fine is in fact become richer and more well off now. And in spite of becoming more well off, he is more stressed. Why? Because he is asking the question to himself, is there more to life than what I have? Right? After earning a 99 gold coins, he is wondering, is there a little more to life, which is that one missing gold coin? Right? So that's the second step. So a good man, a satisfied man, becomes a doubting man now, because of the doubt of this one missing coin. And then now this one missing coin has put the seed of desire in that doubting mind.
Doubt that what I have is not enough.
Exactly, which is does life have more to give me?
Correct.
Right, the pursuit of that elusive one gold coin has now put in this desire to actually go in for that.
Yes.
And it is this desire which has led, it is that striving to get that elusive utopian gold coin, which has now led him to be more stressful. So very quickly to analyze, a content man gets the bag of 99, has the doubt sowed in his mind because of that one missing coin. That one missing coin has now led to the desire, and that desire has led to stress.
Absolutely. In fact, as you analyze the sequence, I'm reminded of what Bhagwan himself said, way back in his discourse, 28 September 1990. Swami says, the 6 enemies are derivations of the first one, namely Kama. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, which Swami always talks about. Swami says it starts with desire. Desire leads to expectation. Expectation related to the senses.
Yes.
And this expectation, when they are not realized, they lead to disappointment. The disappointment leads to anger. Anger leads to losing our discrimination, losing our intellect, and slowly everything is lost.
Exactly. In fact, what Swami has pointed over here is exactly what he himself said in the battle of Kurukshetra. In possibly, I would consider this as the most logical and scientific explanations of why we have stress in our lives. In chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, in the verse 62 and 63, probably the most beautiful synthesis of the human problem. So the Lord says, Dhyayato vishahan punsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamaha krodho bijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramsha buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. And that is exactly what Swami is referring in this particular quote.
Absolutely. I mean, so if you see, there was this incompleteness which Bhagavan has so beautifully explained, and that led to some disequilibrium, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. So what has really happened is this desire, it has the ability to create a disequilibrium. And what is stress? Stress is nothing but lack of equilibrium, right? In many ways, look at our own, either it is pulse, or whether our heartbeat, or whether our breathing, the way we breathe, our temperature, our sugar levels, everything is all about balance. And what do we consider as stress? We consider as stress anything which is away from what should be the ideal, right?
Yes.
So the moment our heartbeat starts to get a little more, we are stressed.
Correct.
The moment our blood pressure goes up, it is stress.
Yes.
So it is the lack of equilibrium or balance in our life that we can consider as stress. And the problem with us, as the way the Lord mentions, Swami and Lord Krishna also says, is that the problem is we are looking for the satisfaction, or now we all want equilibrium, right? So we have moved from a state of, we want to move from a state of disequilibrium back to equilibrium, and we believe that this equilibrium is going to be, besought from the world, right? Dhyayato vishayan punsa. Vishayan means the object, the outside external object which is in the world, and that is what is, leads to all of the rest of the things. Why? So let's have a look. Why is it that the world cannot provide me with that kind of equilibrium? So the following are some of the thoughts that you can maybe consider of the characteristics of this world. Number one, it's a concept that we all who have studied economics 101, you can call it, which is the law of diminishing marginal utility. So what does this law say? That with the consumption of every subsequent unit, the amount of joy or satisfaction you will get keeps on reducing. Very simple example. I think the best gulab jamuns in Prashanti Nilayam can be found in North Indian canteen, without a doubt. I think all of us will agree.
Yes.
So we love gulab jamun. So we go and we pop in the first gulab jamun into our mouth, and wow, it's beautiful. And so we take a second, and we take a third, and we take a fourth. And probably by the time, depending upon our appetite, by the time you reach the fifth or the sixth, the amount of joy that the first and the second gulab jamun gave, the curve starts to dip.
Yes.
Right? So that is what is called as the law of diminishing marginal utility. That the world has this ability to first give you some amount of joy, but the more and more you consume, the lesser and lesser joy it starts to give.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is one of the problems of the world.
Yes.
The second is we are looking for infinite happiness. Is that right?
Yes.
There are no end to our desires.
Permanent peace.
We want permanent, everlasting,
Yes.
and like the max.
Yeah.
Mera dil mange more. That kind of. Now, while the mind and all of us, we are seeking this maximum happiness, this infinite happiness, we are seeking it from a finite source. Yes. The earth and all our nature is definitely finite. For example, it is said, I'll give you another statistic over here, that if all of us were to live the most prosperous lives ever, in the sense that we all have all the basic amenities and there is everything possible that that the human life can enjoy, if all of us were to have that, all the 7 billion of us were to have that, do you know that one earth will not be sufficient to satisfy all our desires?
If everybody wants to lead that high standard of life.
The high standard of life, which is, usually it's called, in quotes, the American dream. If everybody wanted to live the American life or the American dream, we will require the resources of 4 earths, not one earth. Absolutely. Right? So it's and we don't have 4 earths.
Yeah.
We are not going to be having 4 earths for at least the the foreseeable future. And so that pretty much it tells us that you're looking for infinite peace in a finite place.
Absolutely. In fact, as you say this, Amey, I'm really reminded of how Bhagwan very often, right from the 50s and 60s, used to stress on sealing on desires.
That's right.
And we used to always say this, COD to GOD. If you want God, You
The
have
royal
to,
path.
Yeah, the royal path. You have to practice COD, ceiling on desires, you know. And I remember there's this group of youngsters who went to this restaurant and they ordered food and they had a very nice time. And as they finished the food, they got the bill and they paid the money. And as they were walking out, suddenly the manager came running and he said, sorry, I cannot let you go. You have to pay this penalty. I said, why? He said, no, you have left some food on the table. I said, so what? You know, we have paid. We have paid for all the food that we ordered. What's the problem? The manager says, you paid to eat all the food, not to waste the food.
Because I guess what you have wasted is not your resource, it's the community's resource.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. So I feel that was, you know, something to really think about when we use the resources around us. And
Absolutely.
I remember when Professor Anil Kumar, in a conversation with Bhagwan, once told Swami, is modernization not using all these gadgets? I mean, that's how we understand a modern lifestyle, isn't it? You have the AC, you have the high-speed trains, you have a very comfortable house with Wi-Fi and everything. I mean, that is what is a modern lifestyle.
True.
And he said, Swami, is this not modernization? And Swami says, no, who told you this is modernization? This is not modernization. Swami said, modernization is limitation. To learn to live with less, that is what is modernization.
In fact, how relevant that is.
Yeah.
You know, the concept of minimalism today
Yes.
is becoming probably the biggest fad in the world. Everybody talks about minimalism, and Swami spoke about that decades
back.
ago.
When minimalistic living, as you said, that is what is modernization. And Swami says that that is how we should tune our lives. And today I feel, as we look at the COVID pandemic and the way the nature is actually trying to force us in a way into this. Learn to live with less. Learn to share what you have. Learn to feel and care for the other. I think that's where we
Absolutely.
are moving now, isn't it?
Yes. So going back to that point, which is that the law of diminishing marginal utility, and that we are seeking to get infinite, you know, happiness from a finite source. The another point about this world, which is very strange, is that the more and more, you know, just to maintain the same level of peace now, I need more and more of the same. What used to give me happiness before, now no more gives me happiness, and that is what leads to what is called as addiction. Right? All of the addictive substances is all about having more and more just to maintain myself there. So, you know, that is something which is absolutely dangerous, and that leads us to the fourth point, which is that whatever the world gives, the more and more it gives us, it is only going to harm us. It only leads to harm, right? Anything in excess, and that's what Buddha says, the path, you know, the middle path of moderation, the golden path of moderation. And so the world, the more and more you start consuming, the more and more it is going to cause us stress, because it is going to harm us. And finally, we have to depend, it is all the time constantly asking us to depend on something that we don't have. It is asking us to depend on the outside. So these are the 5 problems. If you start depending upon the world to give you peace, this is what is going to happen.
I mean, what is temporary, you're asking what is temporary to give you what is permanent. That is not possible.
It's just impossible, yes.
And in fact, Bhagwan himself has given the diagnosis for this. You know, both of us have been speaking for half an hour trying to see why this stress, why this lack of peace. But if you see, Swami himself has given this formula, and he's given it so sweetly, so beautifully. So I think we should listen to Bhagwan, isn't it, Amit?
Absolutely. And so this is a beautiful clipping from a discourse given in Kodaikanal in 1991, in which Swami in fact tells us how we can get this peace. What is the exact solution to it? And having once heard it from Swami, let's dive deeper into what are those points that Swami is telling us. So let us listen with rapt attention to Bhagwan.
This is cloth. This is a cloth. But this is not the cloth. It is nothing but bundle of threads. It is not threads. It is cotton. First it was cotton, then it became thread, and finally it became the cloth. Without cotton there is no thread. Without thread there is no cloth. Thought is like the cotton.
We are fine.
Desires are the threads. Mind is like the cloth.
Bundle of desires is mind.
Mind is nothing but a bundle of desires. If you want to destroy the cloth, you have to remove the threads one by one. If you reduce the desires gradually, there will not be any mind at all.
Less luggage, more comfort, make travel pleasure.
If you travel with less luggage, it is very comfortable.
Life is like a long journey.
Life is like a long journey.
Desires are luggage.
Desires are the luggage. If you reduce the luggage, our travel will be very comfortable. We have too many desires, too much desires. This is very bad. The more desires we have, the more restlessness we develop. When we reduce the desires and attachments, we will get peace of mind.
Many people, they want peace of mind. I want peace of mind. I want peace of mind.
Many people keep saying, I want peace of mind. I want peace of mind.
I want peace. I want peace.
I want peace, they say.
How many words are there? I want peace. These are 3 words.
The sentence has 3 words.
I want peace.
There are 3 words. I want peace.
I is ego. Want is desire. Remove it. Peace is there.
From these 3 words, if you remove the 2 words, I, which is ego, want, which is desire, then you are left with only peace. You want a book from Swami. Swami sends it by a parcel. But when it is sent by parcel, how do you get the book? If you remove the outer covering of the parcel, you get the book. Without removing the outer covering of the parcel, how can you get the book? The peace is given to you in a parcel. So this peace is packed in 2 things. I with the ego and want with the desire. So if you remove the ego and desire, you naturally get the peace. That is what is peace.
So that is what is peace. Bhagwan gives that formula. I think all of us have heard this also many times. This is nothing new. But every time you listen to it, you feel that we have to contemplate on it deeper and deeper. I want. Swami says remove want. And that's what we are saying. Don't say I want this looking at the world. The moment you are saying want, that is desire, as Bhagwan is saying.
Yes.
And I, removing that I, saying, okay, I accomplished this, I achieved this, I can do this, I will be able to get this done. You know, that whole feeling of ego.
And I think very simply, ego is just identification with his body-mind.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. In fact, you know, Ame, as you say this, it's reminded of this little story that Bhagwan used to say. This person who lost an object, he lost it inside the house. And after some time, you know, he was searching for it. And he went out and he started looking for it. There was a lamp post, and so there he started searching, and a person comes and says that, you know, what are you searching? And he says, no, I lost this object. Where did you lose it? And I lost it inside the house. You lost it inside the house? Why are you searching outside? I mean, what is this? What is this? You know, are you out of your mind? He said, yeah, I lost it inside, but inside there is no light. You know, the lamp post is here, light is here, so I'm searching here. I mean, see, you know,
it's the classic story.
It's a classic story. You know, we laugh at it. You know, we feel how foolish that person is. But I feel, you know, if we think deeper, inadvertently, we are also in the same way trying to search for something that we lost inside, outside, isn't it? Because we are feeling there is light. We are not discovering the light with it.
Yeah. In fact, because we have lost peace of mind, and our mind is within us, and our mind is not outside of us.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it is all about finding that peace within our mind,
Yes.
which is pretty much the solution to getting rid of all the stress.
And the mind, as you brought out, it is that most powerful instrument that Bhagwan has given us,
Exactly.
which will help us to go within.
Exactly. In fact, as Swami would often say in his discourse, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. It is mind alone that is responsible for our bondage as well as our sorrow or our liberation. So, the problem, what is the problem with this mind? You know, we all know that, yes, I completely agree with Bhagwan on this. And then Swami goes on to explain that this mind, which is our best infrastructure that we have to deal with anything, right? For everything we use our mind. But from time to time, just like the smartphones that we have got, and some bug enters it, or some bug enters the software. Similarly, there are three kinds of bugs that taint our mind or give problem to our mind, and these need to be debugged, if we can use the software language for it. So Swami, in fact, very beautifully gives us the categories for these three bugs, or the larger buckets in which all our problems happen. So let's really think about it, because that is where we are going to go to when Swami says remove want, remove I, and you will have peace. So how do we actually reach there? So Swami says that there are three issues with the mind. One is mala, the second is vikshepa, and the third is avarna. So what is mala? Swami gives the example of a mirror. So you want to see, and he gives the simile of the mirror to the mind of man. So if you want to see a reflection of yours in the mirror, but if there is a layer of dust on top of the mirror, will you be able to see a reflection? No, and therefore you will have to remove that, and that is nothing but mala. And that can be done through sacred work, through all the time taking up seva or selfless service. That's right. So selfless service is the solution for removing mala, as Bhagwan says. To remove vikshepa is nothing but the wavering nature of mind. So you take the same example of the mirror. If the mirror was all the time shaking, will you be able to see or focus on your reflection? Once again, no. So you need to steady the mind, and for that you namasmarana, japa, which is the same, and dhyana. These are the solutions to reduce the waveredness of the mind. And the third is avarna, which is nothing but, what if the mirror is covered with a cloth? If it's covered with a cloth, once again you will not be able to see your reflection, and that can happen only through jnana or knowledge or wisdom. So if these are the three issues of the mind, and we know Swami has even given us the solution, which is for mala, to remove mala it is selfless service, to remove vikshepa it is japa and dhyana, and for removing avarna it is the getting of knowledge.
Para pemirsa terkasih, terima kasih masih setia bersama kami. Itu dia tadi video percakapan yang dapat memotivasi dan juga memberikan pencerahan bagi kita semua. Semoga video tadi dapat menjadi inspirasi bagi kita semua untuk selalu berbuat baik, terutama dapat dengan bijaksana mengatasi dan mengelola stres dengan baik, agar ke depan kita dapat menjalani hidup kita lebih baik lagi, yang tentunya sesuai dengan ajaran-ajaran indah yang diberikan oleh Swami. Saya Prema Mahasagara pamit undur diri, tapi jangan khawatir pemirsa, karena kita masih memiliki banyak sekali video-video yang inspiratif dan juga dapat memotivasi bagi kita semua. Oleh karena itu, tetap setia untuk menyaksikan media Sai Indonesia, Mencari Kebahagiaan Sejati. Jai Sai Ram.